The ballroom fell silent the moment he laughed. Not just a chuckle, not the kind of laugh one lets out by mistake, but a cruel, mocking laugh that cut to the music, the champagne glasses, and the billion-dollar conversations. "Look at her," sneered Richard Faulkner, a billionaire oil magnate known for arrogance. "A maid snuck in here? Who invited the help?" Every eye turned toward her. She wasn't in a maid's uniform. She wasn't serving anyone. She was a guest of honor. The woman Richard mocked was Dr. Maya Johnson, one of the most powerful businesswomen in the world, and the CEO of Johnson Tech Solutions, a company valued at over $10 billion. And in less than 24 hours, Richard's world would collapse because of that one humiliating laugh. The Manhattan skyline glittered beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Crystal Tower, where the elite gathered for what was billed as the deal of the decade. The merger between Faulkner Energy and Johnson Tech was poised to reshape global markets. Reporters called it the $10 billion power move. Richard Faulkner, tall, silver-haired, with a smug grin of a man who had never heard the word no, strutted across the marble floor as though the party existed only for him. Champagne flowed, violins played, and billionaires circled the room like predators sniffing out their next meal. In the midst of the glitz stood Dr. Maya Johnson, elegant in a simple black dress, her natural curls pinned up, her posture regal. Unlike the other women, draped in designer jewels, Maya's presence came not from glitter, but from gravity. She was brilliance wrapped in quiet confidence. But Richard didn't see brilliance. He saw skin. He saw color. He saw someone he believed didn't belong. When he made the cruel joke, mocking her as if she were staff who had wandered by mistake, the room gasped. Some laughed nervously. Others looked away. No one defended her. Not one. But Maya didn't flinch. She smiled politely, her eyes calm but sharp as blades. "Funny," she said softly, her voice carrying further than his booming arrogance. "I was about to say the same thing about you." The tension snapped like glass under pressure. Guests froze. Cameras turned. And Richard, drunk on champagne and ego, didn't realize he had just picked a fight with the wrong woman. What shocked everyone wasn't just the insult. It was how Richard doubled down. "You people don't belong in places like this," he sneered, waving his glass. "You're here because of quotas, not merit. Let's be honest." The crowd murmured. This wasn't 1950. This wasn't some private country club. This was 2025 in New York City, with reporters and investors everywhere. But instead of apologizing, Richard strutted across the room, patting other guests on the back as if the humiliation of Maya were a grand joke. What nobody knew at that moment was that Maya owned more shares in potential merger than Richard himself. The deal he thought he controlled? She was a true decision-maker, and she was about to pull the rug out from under him. As the party continued, whispers spread. Maya was calm, sipping her champagne, shaking hands, even laughing with other guests. But beneath her smile, her mind worked like a chess master. Richard thought he had embarrassed her. In reality, he had just exposed himself. To every investor, every CEO, every reporter in the room, phones buzzed, cameras clicked. Within an hour, social media was ablaze. Billionaire Richard Faulkner mocks black CEO at $10 billion merger party. Power move or racism? Did Richard just kill the deal of the decade? And yet Richard remained oblivious, drunk on both liquor and his own arrogance. But Maya wasn't just going to cancel the deal. She was going to make sure Richard understood exactly why. The next morning, Richard woke to chaos. His PR team called nonstop. Stockholders were in panic. News anchors dissected his every word. But the worst blow came at noon when Maya called a press conference. Dressed in a white suit, calm and regal, she faced the flashing cameras and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, after careful consideration, Johnson Tech Solutions is withdrawing from the proposed $10 billion merger with Faulkner Energy. Business is not just about profit. It is about values, respect, and integrity. If my presence at a party is seen as an intrusion, then my presence in a partnership is unnecessary." The room erupted. Richard's empire began to crumble in real time. Faulkner Energy stock plummeted 15% in 1 hour. Partners pulled out. Investors fled. But then came the twist no one saw coming. Maya wasn't just pulling out. She had secretly been in talks with Richard's biggest competitor, a renewable energy company that had long sought to dethrone Faulkner Energy. And now, with her partnership, they had the ammunition to do just that. Richard hadn't just lost a deal. He had created his own worst enemy. That night, Richard sat alone in his penthouse, the city lights mocking him from beyond the glass. His phone buzzed nonstop. Angry board members, investors demanding answers, headlines painting him as a villain. But one message stood out. It was from Maya. No anger, no gloating, just one sentence. Respect is priceless. You just lost $10 billion learning that lesson. Richard gripped the phone, rage boiling, but deep down he knew the truth. This wasn't the end. Maya had embarrassed him on the world stage. His pride wouldn't let it rest. And as the night grew darker, Richard vowed silently, dangerously, that he would find a way to strike back. The war had only just begun. By morning, the headlines had sharpened their knives. Faulkner Energy in freefall. $2.5 billion loss in market value overnight. Johnson Tech walks away. Stockholders furious at Faulkner. Billionaire's racist joke cost him everything. Richard slammed the papers on his mahogany desk. His office, once buzzing with assistants and investors, now felt like a ghost town. Phones rang unanswered. Even his most loyal allies avoided him. In contrast, Maya was everywhere. Television anchors replayed her poised press conference. Young entrepreneurs hailed her as an icon. Social media trended with hashtags like #MayaMovesMountains and #RespectInBusiness. But the true blow came from his board of directors. At an emergency meeting, one gray-haired investor spoke the words Richard had feared. You become a liability. Richard, this company cannot survive your arrogance. For the first time in decades, Richard felt something he never imagined possible: weakness. But Richard Faulkner was a man to go down quietly. Humiliation bred obsession. He hired PR firms to spin the story. Maya was overreacting. Maya was playing the race card. Maya was a radical pretending to be a CEO. But every attempt backfired. The more he attacked, the more sympathy she gained. Then Richard went darker. Through whispered connections, he began funding smear campaigns, anonymous blogs, and leaked documents meant to tarnish her reputation. He sent investigators to dig into her past, searching for skeletons that didn't exist. And when that failed, he turned to sabotage. One night, Johnson Tech servers were hit with a sophisticated cyber attack. Millions of files targeted, sensitive deals threatened. It was traced back to overseas hackers. But Maya's tech team quickly uncovered the truth. The attack had Faulkner fingerprints all over it. Maya didn't panic. She gathered her top team in the glass-walled boardroom of Johnson Tech headquarters. This isn't just business anymore, she said, her voice low but unshaken. This is a battle of character. Richard wants to show the world that hate wins. We're going to prove it doesn't. Her team rallied behind her. They patched systems, reinforced cybersecurity, and doubled their partnerships with Faulkner's competitors. Every move Richard made only seemed to fuel Maya's empire further. But privately, Maya carried scars. Nights alone in her penthouse, she thought about her late mother, a maid who had scrubbed floors so Maya could go to college. She thought about the humiliation Richard had tried to inflict, the reminder that no matter how far she climbed, there were still men who saw her as less than. Yet she remembered her mother's words. They can mock your skin, Maya. They can mock your roots. But they can't mock your brilliance unless you let them. Desperation pushed Richard into reckless territory. He stormed into a shareholders' gala uninvited, drunk, ranting about conspiracies. Cameras caught every word. She's a fraud. She's using pity to destroy me. This is reverse racism. The footage went viral within hours. Another nail in his corporate coffin. The board had enough. Within 72 hours, Richard was forced to step down as CEO of Faulkner Energy. His name was stripped from the company that bore it for 3 generations. But Richard wasn't finished. Not yet. Sitting in the darkness of his estate, he whispered into the phone to a mysterious associate. If business won't bring her down, we'll make it personal. One rainy evening, as Maya left her downtown office, she noticed a black car trailing her. At first, she dismissed it. But when it followed her across 3 streets, her instinct sharpened. Her driver took sharp turns, weaving through Manhattan traffic until finally losing the tail. Later that night, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. A text appeared. "You destroyed my legacy. I will destroy yours. R." Maya closed her eyes. She knew Richard's pride was his prison, and now his hatred had become his weapon. But instead of fear, she felt something else: clarity. The next morning, she called a press conference, not to address business, but to address truth. Standing before cameras, she revealed the harassment, the cyber attacks, the threats. She didn't name Richard directly. She didn't have to. Everyone knew. Her closing words echoed around the world. Power without respect is poison. Money without humanity is empty. And hate, no matter how loud, will always collapse under the weight of its own ugliness. The applause was thunderous. Investors cheered. Communities rallied. Young women, especially women of color, held up signs reading, "Maya is proof we belong everywhere." For Richard, it was over. Investigations into cyber attack led straight back to him. Lawsuits piled up. His fortune shrank. Once a titan of industry, he became a pariah. The man who mocked Maya as a help was now abandoned by his own staff. His mansion nearly empty. His name a curse in the business world. One tabloid headline captured it best. From $10 billion to nothing, the fall of Richard Faulkner. Meanwhile, Maya thrived. Johnson Tech became a leader in clean energy, creating jobs, breaking barriers, inspiring a generation. She was honored at the United Nations, her face on magazine covers, her story taught in business schools as the day dignity defeated arrogance. Years later, at a global summit in Geneva, Maya was asked what moment defined her career. She paused and smiled softly. "It wasn't the deal I made or the billions we earned. It was the deal I refused to make. The night someone tried to strip me of my dignity, and I chose to walk away. Because money comes and goes. Respect, that's forever." The audience rose in a standing ovation. And though Richard Faulkner's name had faded into the shadows of history, Maya's legacy burned brighter than ever. A reminder that true power isn't measured in wealth, but in the courage to walk away from disrespect, no matter the cost. Subscribe for more interesting and powerful stories.